Shops and homes have been looted for a second day in the once prosperous town of Ciudad Guayana in northeast Venezuela. With inflation at the rate of 2,600%, many are struggling to buy food and medicines. That's if they're on sale in the first place. Anger and frustration have sparked unrest. This shop owner says, I was on my way here, but when I arrived this morning, all we could see was this. Everything's been destroyed. Another tearful owner says, with everything it takes to have anything, and for it to be gone in 5 minutes, I just kept thinking the worst. For us to end up like this with nothing. At least 5 food stores were looted overnight, and police sources say 20 people have been arrested. But it's not just the shops which are vulnerable. This homeowner says, they've looted my home and stolen all our belongings. They've left us practically naked. They've taken the air conditioners, the refrigerators, everything, even the laundry basket was taken away. Critics blame President Nicolas Maduro and the ruling Socialist Party for Venezuela's economic mess, accusing them of persisting with failed policies and turning a blind eye to corruption. The government claims it's the victim of an economic war by political opponents and right-wing foreign powers. Donald Trump's former strategist, Steve Bannon, has resigned from the right-wing Breitbart news organisation following a backlash over his involvement in a book criticising the president. It comes after Trump publicly attacked Bannon after he was quoted extensively in the new book Fire and Fury. Bannon also described a meeting Donald Trump Jr. held in New York with a Russian lawyer during the 2016 presidential election campaign as treasonous. At one time Trump's most trusted aide, he left his post last summer after reports of a power struggle among Trump's White House staff.
One of the historic figures of the Catalonian nationalist movement and a former president of Catalonia, Artur Mas, is resigning from the leadership of the Separatist Party, citing internal divisions and personal legal problems. As a parting shot, he said that in today's conditions, independence is not a possible option for Catalonia right now. Not to have clearly exceeded 50% of the votes obliges us to understand that accelerating the establishment of independence cannot be done in the short term, he insisted. Current Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont disagrees and believes Catalonia's nationalists have been given a mandate to govern, even if they're divided and cannot form a government.
In the US, a judge has blocked an attempt by the Trump administration to end a program that prevented the deportation of children brought to the United States illegally by their parents. The president's decision to end the DACA program has drawn widespread protest and criticism since it was announced in September last year and has been challenged in the courts. On Tuesday, Mr. Trump held a meeting with US congressional leaders to discuss the broader issues surrounding immigration, and referring to DACA, he made it clear that he won't be giving up on his intention to make changes to the policy.
It's DACA. We've been talking about DACA for a long time. I've been hearing about it for years, long before I decided to go into this particular line of work. And maybe we can do something. We have a lot of good people in this room, a lot of people that have a great spirit for taking care of people we represent, we all represent.
A US district judge ruled in San Francisco on Tuesday that the DACA program must remain in place until litigation over the issue has been resolved.
Brussels is damaging British interests by talking up the threat to companies if the UK leaves the EU without a deal. That's the claim from the UK's Brexit Minister David Davis in a letter to Prime Minister Theresa May. The leaked letter says Davis has sought legal advice over whether Brussels is breaching Britain's rights as a member state by advising companies of the risk to trading in the event of a no deal. In it, Davis says legal and policy advice suggests the chances of a successful legal challenge are slim. He does say he's instructed his department to increase its engagement with the Commission, the EU's executive arm, and companies to reassure them. Examples include EU agencies reportedly advising business the UK could become a third country when it leaves the EU in March 2019, without referring to Britain's aim to agree a transition period and future trading deal first. The advice, Davis says, also implies companies would need to be based in the EU or European Economic Area in order to maintain compliance with regulatory rules. The UK and the EU struck a divorce deal in December that paved the way for talks on future trade ties.
German police are claiming another big blow against the increasingly active Italian organised crime in the country, in a joint operation with Italian Carabinieri. Some 200 arrests have been made of suspected members of the Calabrian Mafia, or 'Ndrangheta. Members of the Faro and Marincola families are alleged to have muscled into the wine, food, garbage collection and funeral services trades in both countries. And police added they suspected a number of public offices had been corrupted, without stipulating where or at what level. Assets worth some 50 million euros were seized, and the Italian anti-mafia police believe they have dismantled a major clan of the criminal organization. Anti-mafia prosecutors began their investigation by examining the clan's network in the city of Catanzaro in southern Calabria, working out from that epicenter until reaching its German branches.
Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has blamed foreign enemies, including the US and Britain, for trying to turn legitimate street protests into an attempt to overthrow the Islamic Republic. In his comments, he said the plot had been foiled, implying that the unrest had been brought to an end. In particular, he blamed Donald Trump. This person, who is the leader in America, does not appear to be a stable person. Just recently in the US, there's talk of him having mental health problems and psychiatrists giving their views. We've also heard this, but let him know, both him and other hostile governments, these insane stunts will not go unanswered. At least 22 people died in the recent protests, which were initially about the economy, but soon turned political. The unrest spread to more than 80 cities. It's believed over 3,000 demonstrators have been arrested. Iran's judiciary has said the ringleaders could face the death penalty.
Holy shit.
South Korea's President Moon Jae has said denuclearization of the Korean peninsula must continue. His comments came after talks were held between representatives of North and South Korea. President Moon Jae said denuclearization is vital. Denuclearization of the Korean peninsula is part of the process towards peace and our goal. It is our basic stance that we can never concede regarding the issue of the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, which was agreed in the South-North Joint Declaration. The talks were the first in 2 years and have come after a rapid escalation of tensions following aggression from Pyongyang. However, there's been some progress made. South Korea agreed to allow athletes from the north to participate in the Olympic Games and agreed to lift certain sanctions.
Heavy snowfalls in the Alps have caused havoc in ski resorts nearly everywhere, but few places have been as buried as Zermatt in Switzerland. Here, so much snow has fallen, some tourists have preferred to be evacuated, as road and rail links were cut, and there was a maximum risk of avalanches. Some 13,000 people were trapped at altitude, and the air bridge was the only contact with the outside world for some time, until the rail line was ploughed. Road access remains impossible. For those returning to work, it's a nightmare. For those whose holiday is just starting, it's perfect.
Wir sind 1,5 Wochen zum Urlaub da, ja, zum Skifahren, und haben uns sehr gefreut über diese Schneemassen, die da gekommen sind, aber dass es so viel geworden ist, haben wir uns gar nicht gedacht.
Dreamed as much. The snow may be timely, but so much of it poses significant avalanche problems, so all the alpine resorts are advising caution. We blocked roads, the train is blocked, we have to see how we bring the avalanches down with blasts and wait, and then decide to re-establish a connection between Zermatt and Vis. Many resorts in the French, Italian, Austrian and Swiss Alps are having to follow emergency procedures to eliminate risks. But it seems to be the Swiss resorts that are the most exposed to this heavy fall, which hasn't been seen in some parts like this since the late 1970s.
Y televidente, momento para otro espacio comercial. Ahora nuestro back nos informa en Deportivo.